CP/M could handle quite a few different file formats for compressing and archiving files. So in this video I want to show some of the most common. I'll start with Squeeze and then Crunch, and then show how they can be combined in an LBR file, and finally I'll show the arch command. So I'm going to begin by showing the Squeeze command. And if I have a look at the files on this drive, and I use the size option so that I can see properly how much everything is taking up. Okay, so I want to compress the file tau.txt. So I'll run the squeeze command, sq.com, with the file tau.txt. This will take quite a long time, but I want to show just how long it takes. There we are, and if I have a look, see how much of a difference it's made. So we can see the tau.tqt file is now 14K as opposed to the original tau.txt file, which was 27K. If I erase tau.txt, then I can show how we can unsqueeze the TQT file. and I have a look at the drive. I can see the tau.txt file is the 27K that it was before, and if I have a look at it, it seems to be fine. Right, next I want to show the crunch command. So we'll repeat the same operation as we did with squeeze. So I'll crunch tau.text, and again this will take a long time. So that seemed to be quicker than the squeeze command, and it was good that we could see some progress whilst it was running. I'll have a look at the directory again. We can see from the crunch output that it says that it went from 27K to 11K, so that's a bigger reduction than squeeze. And we can see the tau.tzt file, which is the output from crunch. Again, I want to now delete tau.text and use the uncrunch command to decompress the tzt file and return our tau.text file. Good, and I now have a look at the files. And we now have our tau.txt back, and if we look at that, good, all back as it should be. Squeeze and crunch work really well, but often you want to distribute several files together, and this is where the LBR type file comes. So we'll create an LBR file using the crunch files that we made before. So we've got the tau.tzt file, and I've also crunched ed.com, the standard CP/M editor, to create ed.czm. So I'm going to use Nulu to create the LBR files. The original program to create LBR files was called Lu.com, and Nulu is the new version. So you can use it either from the command line, or if I type the Nulu command, I can use it in an interactive mode. So if I press -H, that'll let me see what the commands are, and any of these switches are the same switches that you would use from the command line. So I'm going to have a look at what's on the disk. And I want to create a library called both.lbr, and that will contain the compressed version of ed.com and the tau.txt file. So it's going to have two entries. And I use the A switch and crunch changes the name of a file so that the middle letter is a Z. So I want to add ed.czm and tau.tzt. So I use the following wildcard to add those two files. And then if I exit the Nulu command, and as a demonstration of the commands, I'll open both.lbr, I'll list the files in it, and I'll exit. and now we can see the files contained within both .lbr. If I now delete the original ed.czm and tau.tzt files, and I'm erasing those to make space as much as anything else to extract the files from the library. Now, I'm going to use a command called dlbr. I could use nulo, but dlbr is a nice easy command to use and it's pretty standard. And this will extract the files from the both.lbr file. And then we can see those files. They've been extracted from the LBR file just as they were before. So they're extracted in the same crunched format that they were added to the LBR file. So if we wanted to then look at those files, we would have to uncrunch them just as we did before. But otherwise, the LBR files are really handy for distributing files and for downloading from what would have been bulletin boards in the past, but are now distributed throughout the internet. The last format I want to show is the ARC format. So ARC took quite a long time to get onto CP/M, to be ported over to it. So up until that time, the LBR files were the most common, and they would contain either crunched or squeezed files. But then ARC came along, and this wrapped the whole process into one. The slight downside with the ARC format is that with LBR files, there are other programs that can dip into them and look at the individual files without having to decompress them separately. So for example, QL, the text file viewer, can look at a file, say tau.tzt, contained within an LBR file, and it can quite happily uncrunch that, view it, without having to extract it separately. But then came along ARC, and this did everything in once. So we'll have a look at the D drive. And I'll use ARC to create a file called both.arc, and it'll contain the tau.txt file we've been working with and the ed.com file, which is the standard CP/M editor. So ARC can use different formats depending on the type of file that you're putting into it. So when it's analysing the file, part of what it's doing is deciding what's the best compression format or storage format to use. Generally it'll use the crunch format. Because of the analysis, that it does mean that this takes a lot longer, but the upside of that is that it does pick the compression format that's best for the file, whether it be crunching, squeezing, or it can pack. There we are, and if I have a look at the files, and we can see the both.arc file is 18K as opposed to the original tau.txt file of 27K plus the ed.com file of 10K, which would be 37K. So quite a reduction. The reduction will naturally be about the same as the crunch files, allowing for the small overhead of ARC. I'll quickly show how to un-arc the files or decompress the files. I'll first erase tau.txt and ed.com to make space, and run the unarc file on the archive that we created. Okay, one thing I forgot, you need to tell it where to decompress it to, otherwise it just shows the file, the file contents. start again. Good. And we'll have a look at the disc again. And we can see our ed.com file and tal.txt file restored just as before, and we'll double check that the tal.txt file has been decompressed properly. And there we are. Good. Right, so that's that all done for Arc. As you can see, using these compression formats and archive formats, it does involve quite a lot of waiting around, but that's okay, they're older machines, and there was quite a big benefit from using these programs. If you'd like to find out more about them and other archive formats that could be handled by CP/M, have a look at the article on the Tech Tinkering website in the notes below. And do subscribe to our channel, the Tech Tinkering YouTube channel, and have a look at the techtinkering.com website.